Now to our very special guest. Thank you for joining us, the Honourable Philip Dalidakis, who is the Minister, the Victorian Minister for Small Business, Trade and Innovation. I think the timing's perfect, talking about the innovation agenda, and Victoria, we've had Mr Sydney over here tell us that we're falling behind, we're lagging. Tell us what we're doing in Victoria.
So thank you, and I don't believe you for a moment, because I know Ed is so passionate about startups and tech and loving everything that we do in Victoria. So for a moment I don't believe you, because
thank you.
Because I can tell you that Ed wishes that instead of Victor Dominello in New South Wales, he had me working with him to try and reinforce why Sydney should be the greatest, but is actually now second best.
Okay, I didn't say that.
You wanted to, but the camera's filming. Can I also acknowledge Tim Richardson, my parliamentary colleague here in the Victorian Parliament, and member down in Morty Alley, and doing a wonderful job as well. Ed, to you, welcome back to Victoria, and you're a much loved member of Bill Shorten's team that we look forward to celebrating your success. I think on July 2nd, but we're just not quite sure of that timeline at this point. I've got a very short period of time because Parliament resumes at 8 o'clock. So I just want to tell you a couple of quick things about our innovation agenda here in Victoria and why it sort of correlates with what you were saying, but I think it goes a whole lot further. The first thing is that for me, it's all about changing our culture. And so what we need to do is reinforce for those people looking to create, to start, innovate, that it's okay to fail, first and foremost. For a long time, we've derided people that fail, and investment houses and banks, etc., will refuse to or are very unlikely to invest into a person a second or a third time if they've failed the first. And what we've seen the world over, specifically San Francisco and the Valley, is that in fact it's those people that fail, that get back up, dust themselves off and have another crack, are the ones that you should be investing in, because they're the ones that are quite resilient and are chasing their dream and are likely to push forward. And of course, you don't always invest in an idea. Sometimes you do invest in a person, and that's okay. So rule number one, if you're going to fail, fail fast. Rule number two, pick yourselves up off the ground, dust yourselves off and have another crack. And rule number three in this, of course, is try and find somebody with very deep pockets. Always helpful, for the reasons that you and Charlotte know only too well. And I visited Charlotte, and she runs a fantastic business that we're very proud to support here in Victoria. And so to that extent, what the Victorian government is trying to do is try and expand our ecosystem. And what we're doing by that is we have invested $60 million into Launch Vic, which is our what we call our startup initiative, and that is deliberately to support incubators, accelerators and co-location spaces. There's an element there that we're going to support young women in STEM, specifically young women in the Year 9 and the Year 10 levels, where we hope to, or not hope to, we will run a competition statewide for women in those year levels to be successful, and we will pay for an all-expenses trip to different venues around the world. One year we might take them to San Francisco and the Valley to meet women in senior executive positions within the tech sector. Another year we might take them to Austin or Boulder to have a look at what's happening there in their ecosystem. Or we might go to DC and have a very specific cyber security focus. Or we might go to Berlin, Tel Aviv, or even London. Right? And so it will be focused on STEM, not just technology, but the idea behind it is to show young women that there's a great opportunity, there's a future, and there's a pathway, and there's a role model for them. And but we know that by the time women get to college or university years, that it's too late for them to try and determine that they want a career within an entrepreneurial or tech sector. So we want to make sure that we're trying to tap into that opportunity at a much younger age. So we're focused on the education, we're focused in terms of the support, and in terms of the incubators, accelerators, co-location spaces, The reason that we're focused on those three areas is because we're not trying to, what I say, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to make the wheel bigger. We have a very well-sourced area of finance here in Victoria, certainly in Australia. Whether or not people are accessing it correctly, whether it's making themselves accessible, that's a very different story. But the money is there. We've seen Square Peg launch a $200 million fund, Blackbird, Atlassian are jumping in. Right, the money is there, and it's really starting to have people support it that actually understand the sector as well. So we think that we talked about York Butter Factory, Melbourne Accelerator Program, MAP, was recently voted the 5th best accelerator program globally, linked with a tertiary institution being obviously Melbourne U. So we have a wonderful, wonderful ecosystem, but it's people. And so what we're trying to do is engender that change. And the other thing, of course, which I'm going to say is rule number 4. Rule number 4 is when you are successful, celebrate it. It's damn hard, and you deserve to celebrate your success. Forget the tall poppy syndrome, not interested. Find the tallest mountain that you can, probably Mount Dandenong here in Melbourne. A comfortable walk, unless you're a little bit less fit like myself. Drive to the top, scream at the top of your voice about being successful. And you know what, be proud of it. Because as I said, it's very unlikely that you will have got there without actually stumbling along the way, and so pat yourselves on the back. So that's what we want to do here in Victoria. We want to support, we want to create, we want to educate, but most importantly, we want to make sure that Victoria is the #1 destination, not in Australia, because Australia is ultimately a small fishbowl. The world is smaller today than it's ever been as a result of the connectivity and the digitalisation of our society. So we want to be the #1 destination across the Asia Pacific region. And I always say that once we've got there, and we're not far away, believe it or not. In fact, on rankings recently, Melbourne was ranked only the 2nd city in the APAC region, just behind Singapore. Sydney, I think, was 6th in the rankings. But once we get to APAC, then we'll take on the rest of the world at their own game. Because we need to understand that size and scale makes a difference, and I'll finish on this point. In terms of what we can do for the ecosystem here in Victoria, we're doing it. We have amazing companies locally, REA, Car Sales, Seek, Kogan, just to name a few of them. Of course, added to that list now, setting up Melbourne as their Asia Pacific or Australian-based headquarters, Slack, Square, Stripe, Zendesk, GoPro, Eventbrite, Etsy. Right? These are globally recognised leaders within their industry. And so what we can say by them choosing Melbourne, they're choosing Melbourne for a very specific reason. We've got the people. 36% of IT grads come out of Victoria, 28% New South Wales, 18% Queensland. We need to have a pipeline for them to go somewhere. We need to create jobs for people to be able to come here. And when we bring those companies to Melbourne, chicken and egg. People come here, they want to work for those companies. People are here that are wanting to work for those companies, get to work for other companies. So we get to create a little bit of that scale and create those jobs. At the core of what it means to be a Labor Member of Parliament is about creating jobs and an opportunity for people to have a sense of self-worth and contribution into society. That's what we're always about, giving people an opportunity to do what they do best. And so the innovation sector is a really exciting one. I'm very proud to be in that role for the Andrews Labor government here in Victoria. But most importantly, it's a very, very exciting time. It's not something that's a buzzword that's just going to stop. We're going to continue, we're going to push on with it, and we are going to invest in people, invest in Victorians, invest in jobs, because ultimately that's what we're about. I want to thank you all for your time. Any difficult questions, ask Ed. Any really easy questions, send me on Twitter at Philip Dalidakis. I will answer you. I'm trying to build up my followers so I can match Ed, which I'm a long way from. But he has a national profile and deserves it, because he's a terrific, terrific ambassador for the Labor Party, both in this space and generally. And thank you for all your time as well.